Hi everyone, I'm Ken from CryptoTradingKS. If you're new, welcome, and welcome back, KS family. Let's run the numbers. Bitcoin currently down 1.75% to 42,311. Ethereum down 3.51% to 2920. Rule 45, no alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. A couple of days ago, we did a quick poll on Twitter and we said, what is going to happen to Bitcoin next? Will it come? Will Percy, the magnetic price sheet, Bitcoin's price, come up from 44,479 up to the next level at 45,881? Or will it come down to 41,933? About 65.3% of people said it would go up to 45,881. And there were quite a few barriers for it to go through and reach 41,933. But we've seen that it actually did do that. Now, about 34.7% of people thought that it would actually come down to this level, 41,933. What actually happened? Percy was doing really, really well, Bitcoin's price. And then the inflation data came out, Fed and Russia threatening war. So Percy was around here and FOMO was around there. And we were expecting potentially that we would have a visiting of the FOMO level. And we got pretty close actually. The price came up to 45,666, very close to that 45,881. But then what happened? Basically the news of incredible inflation, the Fed, Russia, and what happened. These out of crypto market news events actually broke through the fences, and they broke through a couple more, leading Bitcoin's price down to the 41,933 mark. This is why it's incredibly important to look more broadly than just the crypto market. I've put another poll on crypto Twitter saying what will happen. Will we come up from the current price level to 44,402 or down to 38,935? One thing to consider is that we're in weekend trading. Masterclass students, you will receive my live chart in TM7. What often happens during the weekends, we can get out of sort movements. Things can really move around on the weekend. Just be aware of this. Our entire focus as crypto technical analysts is to scientifically track investor attention. We know that if we light switch into things, zone 1 and zone 2 behavior, we can be in trouble. That's why we scale in and scale out of positions. We must have the foundations of knowing the CTKS methodology to draw all our lines up. We need to look outside the crypto market, check the stock markets, world events, and collect probabilities. This is exactly what happened recently, and it's in all probability the Russia news that is spooking markets more than the Fed, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Then we need to look at timing. We have to have the right mental attitude, or else we'll find that self-sabotage will sabotage our profitability. Only then you actually buy and sell. A lot of investors and traders new to the crypto market do the exact opposite. They're not quite sure what to aim at, so they try and fire off a lot of different trades or a lot of different investments, hoping they'll get lucky. Unfortunately, the gun is actually pointed backwards if you don't have the knowledge. You need a systematic approach. When we look at the news headlines, we can see US says Russia could invade Ukraine at any time. Stocks end lower on Ukraine concerns. There's a number of things, also COVID-19, vaccines, delays, all sorts of issues playing out inside the market. These affect crypto. We need to look at the overall trend in the market because cryptocurrency is a really tiny market, around 2 trillion, compared to the stock market and the bond market. You can see how tiny crypto is. There's a lot of money, a lot of institutional money that retail investors don't understand can actually flow into crypto. And we're really, really early. Crypto is only starting its adoption cycle. It's all the way down here compared to the internet, and so many other inventions that we just take for granted. And we're really early in terms of the adoption and speed of adoption. Masterclass students, you will get my live chart in TM6. We can see something really important when we look across these 8 charts. We can see that fear spiked up, and we had some pretty good rallies. Fear came down substantially. This is the VIX. The VIX is the fear gauge of the market. The VIX is always going up and down. It's incredibly spiky by nature. You notice here that the VIX spiked up and then came down, and spiked up again, then came down. VIX is always doing this. There's an inverse correlation between the VIX going up and prices coming down. We see the NASDAQ 100, the prices certainly came down as fear rallied forward. And what is this all about? I believe the major issue that we need to look at is gold. You can see gold's price. Gold's price has basically gone up the wall. This is a geopolitically sensitive material. And when you see gold doing this, it's because there's unrest. This is most likely the Russia-Ukraine situation. We can see actually the DXY, the US dollar currency index, also strengthen. Bond yields came down, bond prices came up. There's fear inside the market, and we saw oil rally as well. There's a very large difference between retail thinking, which is zone 1 and zone 2, and professional smart money institutional thinking, which is zone 3 and zone 4. Zone 1 and 2 thinking can be associated to light switching. Light switching is going all in and going all out. It's having this particular gun, not quite knowing where the target is. It causes significant stress and sleepless nights. This singular focus, expecting very massive returns and no losses, buying green, selling red, going all in and more, expecting to be 100% correct 100% of the time with zero loss, looking at any negative news or price momentum and thinking it's all over, being addicted to the news and addicted to indicators, seeking to perfectly time everything and capture everything, and being terrified of black swans. This is all zone 1 and zone 2 behavior. That's why everything we do inside the community channel is about zone 3 and zone 4 behavior. Crypto technical analysts are in control professionals. They understand volatility and are in control emotionally. Many crypto technical analysts don't even understand zone 1 and zone 2 behavior. They have calmness, inner and outer peace, and a lot of patience. They view the red days with excitement, not with terror. They have a global focus. They stack the probabilities. That's what we're doing right now. They have knowledgeable expectations. They don't expect 10x, 20x unless it's actually in the charts. They have an understanding of percentages. They buy red and sell green. They stack probabilities. This is probably one of the most important things to keep reinforcing. They have probabilistic fearlessness. They just trade the chart that they view. They use the CTKS method, which updates all of candlestick pattern analysis. They make volatility their best friend. They have a 10-5-10 fund, and they love black swans. So how do we put this together? We can see gold is spiking, the inverse DXY is collapsing down here. Well, it's not collapsing, it's just going negative. Silver is retracing. This is definitely a geopolitical event at play. It's Russia. Russia is causing the problem. Sometimes gold can be just like the VIX. You can see the VIX spiking up and then collapsing down. Gold can do similar things. It can spike up, collapse down, spike up, collapse down. Just be aware of this factor. Masterclass students, you will receive this live chart in TR23. When the transportation indexes collapse, we are in a little bit of a panic when that happens. We're not seeing that just at the moment. We're seeing a retracement for sure. But what we're looking at is especially this airline index. This is getting over resistance, starting to rally. This is actually really good for the economic system. Masterclass students, you will receive this in TM3. There are a lot of conversations about inflation and the effect on the economy and the economic system. Bitcoin loves inflation. You can see a very positive correlation between inflation expectations and Bitcoin's price. This is something else that we need to stack the probability. We can see the 5-year break-even inflation rate increasing. We can see the 10-year starting to increase. This is incredibly good for Bitcoin. It's not bad for Bitcoin, it's good for Bitcoin. Masterclass students, you will receive this in TM4. The Chinese property market, we're not detecting any signals. It looks quite positive there. And we're seeing a confirmation in the Russian market. It's starting to go down, which means the threat of war could actually be increasing. Hence, when we look at Bitcoin's price action, we can see that Russia is in all likelihood the cause for this fence breaking and this loss of particular upward momentum. Turning to the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, we can see the index is at 44, which is registering fear. When we have very high levels of fear in the market, that's what we're actually looking to lean into. We understand that Rule 4, price moves in waves, so we can see price in Bitcoin and your beloved alts will always move up and down. Turning to 24-hour liquidations, there were about $220 million of liquidations across 88,101 positions. In the past 24 hours, around 80% of those liquidations were long liquidations, and we can see them popping up here. Looking at Bitcoin options can give us a bit of an indication as to how different investors and traders are actually looking at what might happen to Bitcoin's price. We can see some fairly good, solid, positive momentum inside the market, and the put-call ratio is really low. Max pain price, where the majority of the options expire worthless, is 41,000, and there are a lot of people actually thinking that by the end of February they will see $50,000 Bitcoin. What we've done so far is to understand that we must have knowledge or we will make losses. We need to know how to draw in trend lines. We need to look outside the crypto market. Now we're going to look into the crypto market and see what has investor attention. Looking at Binance derivatives, we can see about $58 billion worth of 24-hour trading volume and open interest around 9.8 billion. We can see, for example, Bitcoin is under negative price pressure, but Ethereum substantially more so. When we go through and look at these various things, what we want to do is to get an understanding of what investor attention is and where it is and how strong it is. This can give us a bit of a heads up on that. EGLD is getting attention, but it's pretty much the only one. When we go the other way, we can see quite a few things. Quite a few cryptos are getting severely hit. What we know is that no alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. What we see actually as a crypto technical analyst, Bitcoin's price is coming down. We have certain pockets where it's green, or at least less red. And what you will actually see is that the majority of the alts, about 99% of them, will follow the up and down direction of Bitcoin in terms of its movement, but not in terms of its percentage. It takes time to be battle hardened when it comes to crypto, and people, when they enter the market, they enter through zone 1 and zone 2. These are the 4 stages that all investors and traders progress through to become consistently profitable and attain real wealth. In zone 1 and zone 2, unfortunately, there's a very nasty thing of buying green and selling red. What typically happens inside zone 1 and zone 2, people see the market like this and they sell. Inside zone 3 and zone 4 behavior is completely the opposite thinking. We actually look for very powerful particular alts and see how we can scale into them, into the red. Let's go through the first 8. What we're trying to understand here is the power of the alt and how absolutely the gravity of Bitcoin is impacting on the alt. For Bitcoin, it's 100%. And we can see that Bitcoin could reasonably come down, for example, to this 41,788 mark and be completely in an uptrend. This is why it's really important to understand support and resistance levels. What do we see with Ethereum? Ethereum is pulling back. What about Binance Coin? It's pulling back to levels of support through here. What about XRP? It's sold off dramatically, and this is always the case. When it goes up the wall, it will come down the stairs, but it's really important. What goes up does come down, and what goes down does come up in crypto. Looking at ADA, Cardano, we can see it's consolidating around a level of support. Also, Solana is coming down to a level of support as well. We can see AVAX is coming back, and it will probably come down a little bit more, and that's absolutely fine because we use percentages in our favor in zone 3 and zone 4. We can also see that Luna has sold off dramatically, and it's just coming back into a level of support. There's a great degree of technical support inside the crypto market right now. It's important not to look from a zone 1 and zone 2 behavioral perspective, which is a negative move means it's all over. Like, for example, this negative move would mean it's all over and it rebounded. This negative move means it's all over and it rebounded. This negative move on XRP, all over, but look what happened next. This is the thing inside crypto. Crypto is incredibly volatile. On these first 8, which do you think is the most powerful? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section on YouTube. Looking at the next 8, again, we want to understand what is the gravity of Bitcoin. Is the alt moving with it? Is it diverging? And if it's diverging, what does that actually mean? These are all really important things to consider. We can see DOT coming down in alignment with Bitcoin's gravity. What about Doge doing the same? What about SHIB doing the same? Matic is looking a little bit out of sorts, and this can be quite interesting at times like this. We can see here that as Bitcoin came down, actually Matic went up. We may see this again. That's why it's really important to notice divergences. If prices come down across the weekend, potentially Matic could turn around. This is something to bear in mind. We're not saying there is no certainty in zones 3 and zone 4. We can only use probability. The concept is it did it before, it could do it again. And this is always really important to be aware of. But we would always buy in levels of support below and wait for price to come to us. Let's have a look at CRO. You can see CRO just obeying literally Bitcoin's gravity, as is Litecoin. We've got a slight divergence on Chainlink. Chainlink was coming up as Bitcoin was coming down. We'll just bear this one in mind. And we can see a divergence on NEAR as well. Bitcoin coming down. NEAR went up quite substantially. For these particular 8, please let me know which one or ones you think could be interesting to have a look at. Looking at the next 8, we can see Uni obeying Bitcoin's gravity, Decentraland, Mana doing really well, outperforming Bitcoin's gravity but moving with it in a directional bias. We can see Cosmos, Atom, divergence here. If Bitcoin continues to come down, we may actually see a divergence play out again. We only have probabilities. There are no certainties in the crypto market. If you're looking for certainty, what actually happens is that you'll get into a zone 1, zone 2 kind of behavior. You'll pick up a gun, a profitability gun like this. You'll pull the trigger, but the gun is not facing in the right direction. You need to have knowledge. It's really important to take the blindfold off, send a limited number of arrows into the target and not all over the place. Bitcoin Cash is following Bitcoin's directional movement. Algo is looking really weak, but moving in directional bias. And we can see FTT is a little bit stronger, has a degree of variance here, just slight divergence at the moment. Ethereum Classic following Bitcoin's gravity, as is Stellar For this third page, please let me know if there's any cryptos you think could have strength if Bitcoin continues its downward momentum. Looking at the next date, we can see Sand outperforming Bitcoin, and we can see a divergence here. We may see it again. It's only probabilities that can tell us. There is no certainty inside the crypto market. That's really, really important to understand. If you're looking for certainty, you will have a lot of sleepless nights. I don't want that for you. Axie Infinity following Bitcoin's fingerprint, as is ICP. VET also doing the same thing. Theta token doing the same thing. Filecoin doing the same thing. We can see a spike up. This is really interesting. We've got a degree of divergence in EGLD and a spike up here. Could be really interesting to look further into EGLD. We can see Tezos moving in line with Bitcoin's directional bias, but showing a little bit of strength as well. In this particular section, for these 8, do you see anything that looks interesting? It's really good to share these things inside the community. Looking at the next 8, we can see HNT following Bitcoin's directional bias, same as Clay. IOTA showing a degree of strength in here, but always following the up and down movement, the directional correlation of Bitcoin. Something to keep in mind. EOS following Bitcoin's directional movement. Flow is following Bitcoin's gravity, and we can see Harmony 1 had a degree of divergence. Bitcoin was coming down, Harmony went up, and it did so really, really powerfully. This may be really interesting to watch. Aave following Bitcoin's directional movement, and we can see Gala having a degree of divergence here and then following. No alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. This is really important. Balancing those two perspectives is really vital. Let me know in the comments section if you see anything on this particular page that looks interesting. It's really great to have a discussion with the community. Let's have a look at the community favorites. We can see Veracity just following Bitcoin's gravity, and this is incredibly important to be aware of. When you see these movements, they're tied. The fate of your alt is tied to Bitcoin. If you understand this, it's a game changer. We can see Icon just obeying Bitcoin's gravity. Sushi doing the same. Waves doing the same. Loopring looking a little bit stronger than some of the others, but always obeying Bitcoin's gravity. YGG obeying Bitcoin's gravity. And when we look at CRV, we can see some divergence in here. We can see the first divergence just here. Bitcoin was coming down, CRV came up. Bitcoin continued down and then started to move up, as did CRV, but it kept actually going up. And we can see that gravity pulling it in. CRV is a really interesting project. We'll check out how it goes. In a lot of these particular trades, you will need patience. Profit requires patience. CHR is selling back to a level of support with Bitcoin's gravity. What we've now done is go through timing. Real wealth is really important to gain mastery over emotional control, and to understand the rules of money is incredibly important. Without that, you will only ever get about 10% of the profitability that you could get. The next section is the trigger section. The trigger section is about getting rid of this gun, only throwing out a certain number of trades or investments, and we know all investors and traders just do the same activity. It's about patiently applying the 10-5-10 rule and making volatility your best friend. You can see in the trigger section there are many things that you need to learn. It is not simple to pull the trigger on any buy or any sell, but some of the things that you might like to keep in mind when you're getting into any particular trade or investment, it's very important to understand the nature of how percentages move up and move down. When you get a very substantial downward price action, you get an even more substantial price movement in the positive direction when price recovers. This is critically important to understand. All professionals understand that relationship. Also, professional traders and investors always buy at levels of support down, and they look for these long tail rejections, these spikes. What we see inside the crypto market is it's incredibly volatile. The volatility is off the charts. What we can see here in Rose, and this was just a bit of a thought experiment that we did inside the community, we can see that Rose's price is following the directional bias of Bitcoin. As Bitcoin comes down, Rose comes down. As Bitcoin recovers, Rose recovers. As it goes up, Rose goes up. Now it's coming down. This is the nature of the crypto market. If you understand where Bitcoin is going, you understand where your alts are going as well. What I've actually shown here is these green lines represent buy orders that have been in the market since the 21st of January or even the 27th of January. This is something to bear in mind. It takes a lot of patience for rules to play out inside the market, and you make your money where you buy, not where you sell. That's why I pay a lot of attention to where you buy. That will be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. If you're going through a life pullback, or your loved ones are, please know that our love and healing thoughts are with you as a community. You're not alone. The sun will come out again, and there is always hope. Just keep a really positive mental attitude. You can get through this. I've done a little bit of a different format in this particular video. I just want to compress as much information in as I can in the shortest period of time. I know how busy you are. I hope it helps. Please let me know inside the comments if this new and different way of doing things is useful to you. I hope you found the content useful. Please consider sharing and liking this video if you think it will help others. Thank you very much to our moderators for keeping our community safe from scammers, and thank you also to our ambassadors who help and mentor others. Please say hi and let me know if you have any questions. If you would like daily updates on price movements in the crypto market 7 days a week, 365 days a year, please subscribe to YouTube. I've left helpful links in the description of this video, such as the link to the CryptoTradingKS Masterclass that teaches you that very scientific method. Please do not buy it at full price. Just reach out to an ambassador. They can give you up to 80% off. Please remember, crypto is volatile. Always prepare yourself for the best and worst case scenarios. Reality will likely be between them. Stay safe out there, my friends. Take care and see you next time. Bye for now.